Hello, good evening. It's News 360 coming to you live from the News Hub here at Adisa Wikanda. I am Portia Gabo.
And my name is Pa Kwesiasari. Coming up in the next 60 minutes.
News 360 Headlines is brought to you by
Flamingo Paint
and Napa Foods. Heaven Black Insecticide Spray and Coil.
Former President John Mahama accuses President Akufo-Addo of packing the courts with new Patriotic Party inclined judges.
Currently, the judiciary is packed with NPP inclined judges. This government has carried out a deliberate policy of putting their people on the bench.
Also tonight, does leaked tape recording infringe on privacy, and is it admissible in the court of law? We will give you more details.
Still ahead in the bulletin, we'll take you to Teshi in the Lejekuku municipality of the Greater Accra region for a look at the annual Pashimo procession to climax the Homo Festival.
On the international front, demonstrations held outside a French military base in Niger's capital, Niamey, as pressure mounts on French ambassador and soldiers to leave the country.
We've got details of all these stories plus many more coming up in the next 60 minutes. Remember, we're streaming live on Facebook. We're also live on your DSTV channel 279. You can join us with your views, comments and suggestions on any of our top stories this hour. Feel free to visit any of our social media pages on Facebook or more, Twitter or Instagram, and share your comments. Now, former President John Mahama has accused President Akufo-Addo of packing the judiciary with NPP-inclined judges while speaking at the closing ceremony of the third annual conference of the National Democratic Congress Lawyers in Akontammo. The 2024 flag bearer noted that the NDC must fill positions in the judiciary to balance the scale of current happenings. My colleague Kamala Klute was at the forum and has filed this report.
So in what could be described as a disgruntled position, the lawyers belonging to the opposition NDC are not holding back their fire.
We need a bar to be protective of the voiceless, the marginalized, and the downtrodden. Ghana Bar has abandoned all this. The bar, in my view, has become a toothless bulldog. The president of the bar said the last time that they don't discriminate against the NDC lawyers, but I think that they discriminate in favor of the MPP lawyers. They may not discriminate against it, but they discriminate in favor of the MPP lawyers. And I want the bar president to hear this.
Ending a 4-year stewardship as the director of legal for the opposition NDC, Abraham Amaliba is urging the legal department of the parties to stand up to the task ahead of the 2024 general elections. At the annual gathering of lawyers that will give professional representation to the NDC going forward in electoral matters, this has become necessary as they tout they are working keeping the balance in the 8th Parliament. Former President John Dramani Mahama has not hidden his detest for what he has called the politicization of the judiciary in recent times.
It's gone beyond just monetary inducements. Now it is also seen that the judiciary is partisan. And a lot of people feel that, justice is not served in many cases. And we bear the brunt of that. You feel that the judiciary is partisan.
Justice, according to him, has suffered for those seeking it in a deliberate appointment of the justices.
Currently, the judiciary is packed with NPP inclined judges because this government has carried out a deliberate policy of putting their people on the bench. It's more than 80 towards 100 and counting. He's packed the courts, and we know that they've packed the courts because they want to avoid accountability after they have left office. And so all manner of people who are known to have been partisan, to have been executives of their party, who are in the legal profession, are being leapfrogged into the superior courts and other places.
But as he readies himself to seek for a final term in office as head of state, how does John Mahama intend to solve this?
We must be prepared as NDC legal persons to also go onto the bench so that we can balance out, the judiciary. Currently, the judiciary is packed with NPP inclined judges because this government has carried out a deliberate policy of putting their people on the bench. And so I encourage some of you to look at careers on the bench so that we can balance out what the current situation is.
The lawyers belonging to the NDC are seeking in the long term to give professional rivalry to the Ghana Bar Association in becoming a voice of conscience, they say. Komla Kluche, TV3 News, Akosombo.
Pretty interesting revelations there by the former President John Mahama. And these are comments that we've had, quite often in the camp of the National Democratic Congress. And it appears it's becoming now official. Let's go on Zoom now and speak to Professor Smart Sapon. He's a political scientist with the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology. He joins us for some further analysis on this story. Thank you very much, sir, for your time, and good to have you on News 360. So you've had the official position of the National Democratic Congress. You had former President John Mahama suggesting that the judiciary appears to be NPP inclined in terms of its composition. What do you make of what you've just had?
Well, very good evening to your good self, and good evening to our cherished viewers. Just a small correction. I work with the Kumasi Technical University as Associate Professor of Statistics, so just a short correction. But my view on His Excellency's comment is that, first of all, yes, though it may appear true from where he sits, it becomes quite immoral for the judiciary to be classified as NPP judiciary and then NDC judiciary, and for it to have come from the mouth of no mean a person than the leader of the NDC group to suggest that there is that level of polarization of our judicial front, and that when he comes, he is coming to deepen that polarization by filling the bench with members who are lawyers and are NDC members as well. So, number one, quite unfortunate, even if it exists in subtle, the last thing I was expecting to hear was to have such a senior citizen seeking to deepen the polarization by endorsing and suggesting that when he comes, he's going to do worse or perhaps equal what seems to exist, as he said. So, first comment, quite unfortunate.
Well, if that's the general perception, then what's wrong with him saying it? I'm sure a lot of polls have been conducted over the years to find out about the judiciary and its dispensation of justice. And a lot of people think that the judiciary is quite biased. And if he's also trumpeting the views of the generality of the people, does it matter that he's a leader of a political party?
Yeah, it doesn't matter. The perception may exist. What if it is also the instance that most of the qualified lawyers who belong to the other parties do not take interest in being on the bench? You know, largely being on the bar, from my senior friends who are lawyers, they tell me it gives you the opportunity to perhaps encounter several opportunities. You meet the right people, you do one case, and you are good to go. So people deliberately, I know of senior lawyers who qualified but have chosen not to be on the bench. They prefer to be on the bar. So is this to suggest that even if the senior NDC lawyers do not have interest in being on the bench, they should still, for the sake of political equalization of the judicial front or whatsoever, think of going onto the bar. Let's allow the lawyers to follow their interests, and come to think of it, the cases that appear before the bench will not have necessarily a political coloration unless going forward we want an MPP thief to be treated in a certain way because he's standing trial in front of an MPP bench, and then an NDC thief should also have a certain leeway with the law because he will be appearing before an NDC member of the bench.
Is it not interesting, Dr. Smart Sarpong, that in all the criticisms from either the former president or lawyer Amaliba, who used to be the director of legal affairs for the NDC, none of them, and I mean none of them raised concerns about the qualification or the competence of any of the people sitting on the bench, except to say that they are NPP inclined, I beg your pardon. So what are they suggesting? That the bench should be filled with NDC inclined judges? Is that what they want?
Yeah, that is a source of worry to almost all of us. So the qualifications are there. I hear 15 years at the bar plus, you qualify to sit on the High Court or the courts. To qualify to be on the Supreme Court, there are some number of years of experience at the bar and even at the bench that qualifies you. Let it be said that there are some NDC qualified members to be at the Supreme Court or at the High Court or at the Court of Appeal who are due for that promotion but have been denied by the legal counsel. Then there will be a matter on the table for discussion. I am even uncomfortable that we reduce the entire judicial discussion into such a level of polarity. One day, it will enter into the medical profession, and we'll be talking about NDC doctors versus MPP doctors. I think it is something we were all seeking to nib in the bud or work against. But
right, and just to wrap up on that note, just where you are almost leaving off. So we're seeing, we're monitoring what's happening on the airwaves, the live broadcast of the purported leak tape to oust the Inspector General of Police. And we've heard from someone like COP Alex Mensah, for instance, about why he thought that Dan Parry should not be made the IGP because he is NDC, and he thought that he should have been made the IGP. Now we're hearing in the judiciary also that there are NDC and NPP judges. I mean, what's happening to our nation? What's going on?
It's quite pathetic. And I watched that public viewing of the investigations ongoing, and some of them appear so unbelievable, saying with some level of confidence that, yes, they are in the police force, the MPP, NDC, and when you put to them whether one is NDC, they try to run away. Meanwhile, in the leak team, they have made all those disclosures. As far as I know, everybody has some level of political lineage. Even the EC chair, once he decides to vote, will take interest in one political party or the other. What we must all speak against and pray it never gets the endorsement of senior citizens, like the one we are discussing now, is the level where it has now become institutionalized. It is now an accepted lexicon or accepted system that, yes, at the police service, it is NDC versus MPP. At the courts, it is NDC versus MPP. At the end, it is the state that will lose because truth will be jailed and lies will be glorified. Corruption will be exalted, and integrity will be thrown to the abyss.
Right, we've got to leave you here. Thank you very much, Professor Smart Sarpong, his lecturer in Kumasi. Thank you very much, sir, for your time, and good to have you on News 360.
Let's continue with the rest of our stories. And a comment by witness COP Alex Mensah in the leaked audio tape probe has sent shock waves through the nation. Questions about the tape's authenticity and the potential for doctrine arise, and the committee remains open to seeking extra help. Political opinions and calls for constitutional review have added to the intrigue surrounding this unfolding story. Noble Crosby Annan has more in this report.
The controversy began with a leaked tape which captured the attention of the entire nation. In response, Parliament established an ad hoc committee with the primary objective of investigating the tape's authenticity and providing recommendations for any necessary sanctions. As the committee continues its proceedings amid growing public interest, some have expressed concerns about the comments made by witness COP Alex Mensah, which could potentially complicate the committee's work. However, the Vice Chair of the Ad Hoc Committee, James Ogalga, has assured that they will stay focused on the defined terms of reference.
We are mindful that we're guided by terms of reference. We're not going to depart from the terms of reference in our attempt to elicit evidence.
The Vice Chair has emphasized their willingness to enlist additional expertise when necessary.
What the committee has at its disposal the resources that would make it possible for us to do a good job. So if it becomes necessary for us to hire the assistance of a voice expert, why not? We shall do so.
For the Member of Parliament for Asante Akim North, Andy Apiakubi, the origin of the tape is of utmost importance and raises additional questions that demand answers.
Witness is saying that he suspects some prejudice. He suspects some connivance. You see, so when issues like that are being raised, and this man is saying that he recorded because of the content that he couldn't have anticipated before the beginning of the conversation. It is not out of goodwill that he started the recording, because he had contemplated recording it for a purpose known to him alone.
In response to COP Alex Mensah's description of the IGP as the worst, political scientist Professor Ransford Jampo suggests such comments should not be encouraged.
We should be talking and making comments in commendation of people who have displayed such strong will and commitment to their mandate. If Alex Mensah is being propelled or he's being supported to continue to mudslink the current IGP so that people can use it as a basis to demand his sack, I think that strategy is outmoded at best.
Ultimately, political commentator and private legal practitioner Martin Pebu suggests that the resolution of this issue involves a review of the Constitution.
It still comes back to the same Constitution. This is our lopsided Constitution. It gives the President too much power. In Article 57, 58, the other ones, appointment of the IG, Police Council, etc. So that is where...
So there has to be a review of that?
Yes, a review of the Constitution.
And still on the matter of the leaked tape probe, Manasseh Apurum, in this report, explores the legal issue of privacy and the admissibility of the recording.
Privacy is a big issue, and the ongoing parliamentary committee sittings on the leaked tape of COP George Alex Mensah allegedly plotting to oust the Inspector General of Police have not been without drama. Within the jurisprudence of Ghana, there have been several authoritative decisions that have been made by the courts seeking to further enforce the importance of privacy. But when a commissioner of police is caught on tape allegedly plotting to oust a sitting Inspector General of Police, the dynamics of the protection of the privacies of individuals are laid bare, as is expressed by private legal practitioner Martin Pebu.
I can bet you any day, anywhere, it will be this is admissible. And that's how come COP Mensah is not running away from it. He's not running away. He said, look, the MPP is my party. I'm not running away from it.
Under Article 18 of the 1992 Constitution of Ghana, the privacy rights of individuals are guaranteed, with some exceptions to these guarantees being public safety reasons, economic reasons, prevention of disorder or crime, and protection of the rights or freedoms of others, among others. Evidence obtained by any means that is considered a breach of the privacy rights of individuals without satisfying the legally recognized exceptions is deemed inadmissible. The courts have affirmed their stance on the breach of privacy and in relation to the attainment of evidence in cases like Raphael Kubaji and Asare, in which the Supreme Court held that a secret recording of a telephone conversation was a breach of privacy provisions in the Constitution. And in the case of Abena Pukua Aka versus ADB, the court also declared the secret recording of the plaintiff a breach of fundamental human rights. It was a heated moment on TV3's Key Point as panelists debated whether or not there had been an ascertainable breach in the mode by which the leaked tape concerning the IGP was attained. Private legal practitioner Martin Pebu argued that there are factors that satisfy the elements of exception, granting the evidence of the leaked tape on the IGP its admissibility.
So we are talking about situations in which somebody records you without your consent, right? Mm-hmm. So if it's being recorded without your consent, but what we're talking about is crime, right? We're talking about crime, things that would destabilize this nation. From the Supreme Court decision in Raphael Kubaji and Asare, and also Aka versus ADB, it applies. We are lawyers, we read precedent, then we apply. This is admissible.
But Member of Parliament for Asante Achim North, Andy Apiakubi, maintains that the decision of whether or not the evidence of the leaked tape is admissible should be left to the court to make.
In all this, she didn't also act in good faith, much as issues of national security probably would have been raised or may have been raised. If the witness had prior knowledge of the intention to record, probably the situation would have been different. So what I'm saying is that let's test the admissibility first. And the committee had a terms of reference. The terms of reference require of them to pronounce on the admissibility or otherwise.
Meanwhile, so far, no formal objections have been raised with regards to the admissibility of the evidence based on which COP George Alex Mensah appears before the parliamentary committee. In the meantime, we patiently anticipate the happenings in the next sittings as the committee works to get to the root of all outstanding issues. Manasseh Aprum, TV3 News, Accra.
In other news, a governance expert, Professor Bafwa Jamandua, has questioned why corruption-related surveys about public institutions in Ghana do not include religious institutions. He's calling for state agencies with oversight responsibilities to go the extra mile to check activities of religious leaders who exploit their members for their personal gains.
Professor Ajimangdia is worried about the manner in which some religious leaders use dubious ways to siphon money from their members in the name of religion. In his view, churches must be included in both international and local corruption perception surveys.
What I'm surprised about the list in this study, though, is that it doesn't include the churches, the pastors, the so-called evangelists and prophets. They are among the most corrupt and fraudulent people in our society. The most corrupt and fraudulent. And yet, we all sit by and in broad daylight scheme people with all kinds of outrageous promises and other things. So we must be looking at them too.
Former executive director of the Ghana Integrity Initiative, Vitus Azim, could also not agree less on the subject.
I am really concerned about the churches because the churches should have been the last place that you can get assurance that, oh, you are working towards God, you believe in going to heaven. Yet, these days the churches, they are not real churches. You see some unemployed person just goes to start a church in his village and he starts preaching, and you have the women, especially the women, flocking into the church, and then they take their small money from them. So there are genuine churches and genuine church leaders, but there are also those who are just looking for employment, and that paints a black picture of the churches. What can be done is to try to minimize it. But as for elimination, even in the advanced countries, there's corruption. So, one, you need to be able to investigate and sanction people that are guilty. Make it very scary for people to engage in corruption.
A recent corruption perception study released by the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime placed the prevalence rate of bribery in Ghana at 26.7%. This means that 1 out of 4 people who had contact with a public official in the 12 months prior to the survey reported having been asked to pay a bribe by a public official or asked to pay one but refused to do so.
A reminder, so watching News 360 live from our news hub here at Desawe in Kanda, Accra. This is our major news bulletin. We're streaming live on Facebook. We're also live on your DSTV channel 279. Now, residents of Kukurukuzwa in Boku West have issued a 1-week ultimatum to the District Assembly to temporarily halt structures for due to its deteriorating public basic school. The traditional leaders led a street protest to express concerns about the school's precarious condition for children and the community.
TV3 last week published the unsafe state of the dilapidated school block at Kukuruzua. Despite numerous letters to the district chief executive requesting assistance, no response has been received. This compelled KG1, KG2, P1, P2 and P3 pupils to study on the bare floor under trees.
For the past 3 years, this is what I've been using. KG1 and 2, P1, P2, P3, this is what we have been using. It's just a cardboard. We will use this one to do. Sometimes we even write, the children will not understand.
The residents, led by traditional leaders and queens, went on street protest to express their concern over the threat posed to the children and the community as a whole. The protesters later converged on the Boku West District Assembly, where a youth leader, Anobiga Zakari Azure, presented a petition to the district chief executive highlighting the risk to the children and others.
The petition has become necessary following our earlier visit to the district chief executive to lay our complaints on the 30th of July 2023 about the 3-unit classroom block. The pillars of the structure has fallen off and some of the walls are about falling. And that is a serious threat to the lives of pupils of the school and the entire community. We have given the DCE a week to demolish the structure and put up a temporary structure.
They also threatened to close down the school to prevent potential harm to the children if the assembly fails to do so within the 1-week period.
And we thought that it is our right, and of course our educational right, to let the DC understand that our signals must get to the top there. Otherwise, we are at risk. And the future of our children is important. We call you a DCE because of education.
The district works engineer, Moses Awarikaro Awenkanab, indicated a commitment to addressing the concerns related to the unsafe school building in Kukuruzua.
We received these concerns of Kukuruzua community as well as the youth leading this crusade, and want to assure you that your petition will be presented to the chief executive and then the appropriate actions will be taken in order to avail your fears.
The Boku West District Chief Executive Alhaji Ahmed Tahiru Isahaku was unavoidably away from the office on national duty.
And still to come tonight, we'll take you to Teshi in the Lejokuku municipality of the Greater Accra region for a look at the annual Bashimo procession to climax Homowo Festival.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to demonstrate to you the superior properties of Flamingo paint as compared to other paint brands on the market. We take equal quantities of Flamingo paint and this ordinary paint. We then dilute them with water. And now, let the test begin. The gentleman on the left is going to apply the ordinary paint, and the gentleman on my right will use the Flamingo superior paint. As you can clearly see, Flamingo has the obvious better hiding. Furthermore, Flamingo has painted a much larger area. You know, 1 bucket of Flamingo paint is equal to several buckets of any other paint brand on the market. Flamingo paint is made with superior formulation to give superior durability, superior hiding, superior coverage. Flamingo paint, simply superior.
Whenever you fly to space,
or take your first step as baby, SoftCare always stays with you.
New SoftCare Space Series is rooted from space technology. Keeps you dry and comfortable for 12 hours long. Offers you the most effective protection during your space journey.
SoftCare. Protect your leap.
I'm a hero from zero up to hero.
Many with great voices have taken their chance on the biggest music reality show on screen.
Rap na kasa be my career.
Some stood out with their lyrical abilities and style. Mentor is back. The search is on. Who becomes the next winner? Mentor, the world awaits you.
Let's now take you to Teshie in the Lojokuku municipality of the Greater Accra region, where the annual Bashimo, the act of procession to climax this year's Homowo Festival by the people of the area, was observed. Two elements deemed significant in the procession were the composition of songs used and the chewing of sugarcane to litter the environment. Stanley Niblewu witnessed the event and has filed this report.
Bashimo, the act of procession, is an integral part of the Homowo celebrations of the people of Teshie, as indigenes who are non-residents of Teshie return to their roots to observe this year's occasion. As an annual ritual, hundreds of people representing different groups in the area embark on a procession from Teshie to La in the Lalade-Kotopon municipality to present themselves to their counterparts. For 4 hours, the groups went through the major streets of La, with each group chanting their own songs. Songs composed and sung during this festive occasion have social, religious, political, and cultural inclinations. The founder of One Pillar Group, Ni Ajetesowa, spoke about the choice of songs for the Bashimo.
And we use it to praise those who are doing good deeds so that it serves as a motivation for them and others. The ones we insult or the ones we say or sing based on whatever atrocity they have committed, we use it as a deterrent for others so that they will also not do the same. So yeah, nobody is free from Bashimo. Once you have done wrong, then get ready for One Pillar Kingdom. We will tell you.
This is not the only thing significant about the annual Bashimo. There's also chewing on sugarcane. According to tradition, the act of chewing sugarcane personifies an essential part of the celebration while providing energy to the people. A traditional priest, Numo Ligbleng, explains further.
The chewing of sugarcane as part of the procession is practiced before we were born, so we are only continuing the tradition.
However, all the principal streets were littered with sugarcane waste as the Bashiloi abandoned the waste they had caused and returned to Teshie. But a traditional priest from Teshie, Numo Ligbleng, tried to justify their actions, indicating that the sugarcane waste has spiritual connotations for both Teshie and La.
If La is not littered with sugarcane waste, then it means the tradition is not complete. Through the waste we generate, our ancestors and the deities bear as testimony of a successful tradition.
83-year-old fetish priestess Awon Pobi explained why La residents could not hold the people of Teshie liable for polluting the environment.
After they had chewed the sugarcane and left, we tidy up the place ourselves because it's the La residents that sold it to them, and that has been the tradition.
Some residents want the tradition modernized to restore the dignity of the environment. Homoa is marked to appreciate the abundance of food after the country endured years of famine in the past.
In other news tonight, the National Commission for Civic Education, NCCE, is urging Ghanaians to actively participate in local governance. Chairperson Kathleen Ade, who made the call, emphasized that democracy's true objectives can only be realized when every citizen actively participates in the process.
Local governance is often described as the bedrock of democracy, as it brings power close to the people. Unfortunately, since the return to civilian rule nearly 30 years ago, the main focus and enthusiasm of Ghanaians have been on national elections. This, according to the chair of the National Commission for Civic Education, Kathleen Ade, is counterproductive.
The district level election is equally important. In a lot of ways, it is more important because it is at the district level that citizens experience the democracy, because you are dealing with the people that you see on a daily basis. As a people, we have neglected local elections for a lot of reasons, some of them very valid.
She urges the public to be more patriotic and actively engage in local governance.
I would encourage everybody to focus on the district elections so that we are able to experience the democracy right in our community. If you elect president and your MP, they may be far away from you, but if you elect your assembly members, they are there with you. You can hold them accountable even at that level. So it is important that we focus on that.
Let's now go to the Ashanti region, where the Nigerian community in Kumasi has chastised ECOWAS for sanctioning Niger over the recent coup d'etat. They questioned why ECOWAS has not taken stringent measures to fight jihadists who have taken over and caused harm to several communities in the country, but are quick to activate standby military forces to attack the coup makers.
ECOWAS is not being fair to us at all, in the sense that if you look at what has happened previously, the jihadist people and the Boko Haram people have been going to villages, killing people, snatching their animals, and all sorts of things. Previous government doesn't show any concern about that. So this coup that has happened, the new military that has intervening, we are urging and we are giving him support to stabilize things so that everybody will have his share in the country. We are also calling France to leave the country because he has been our colonial master since independence. We haven't gained any positive impact from him.
La patrie ou la mort! La patrie ou la mort! La patrie ou la mort! La patrie ou la mort!
A reminder, you're still watching News 360. This is our major news bulletin for the day. We're going to go for a quick break. When we return, we've got the very latest in the world of sports.
Make life beautiful. Embrace it with the all-new Ahunfe from GTP. Life, style.
Are you tired of struggling with bad financial situations? At Quick Credit, we understand the difficulties that come with transitioning to a better one. That's why we're here to simplify the process for you. With loan facilities from 1,500 cedis upwards, all you have to do is call and we will take care of the rest. All you need is your national ID. No savings, no collateral, no susu, no deposits, and no account opening required. Quick Credit has you covered. Whether you're expanding a business, starting a new one, facing an emergency like school fees or funeral expenses, or even just in need of a salary loan. What are you waiting for? Call Quick Credit today. 0302 200 390 or 059 692 0833. We do not give loans via the internet. Quick Credit is regulated and licensed by the Bank of Ghana. Terms and conditions apply. Quick Credit. Lending made simple.
When it comes to the world of sports, what does complete mean to you?
When my team scores at the end of a 30-plus passing sequence, just like Pep Guardiola style.
When someone beats the buzzer with a shot from the logo like Steph Curry.
Dominating opponents and punching my waist to a knockout like Africa's greatest boxer, Azumah Nelson.
Running so fast that I can afford to celebrate midway through a 100-meter race and smash the world record like Usain Bolt.
Hold up. What makes all of these sports complete is the screen. This is where you get access to all the extensive highlights, analysis, and insights.
So do join us every Sunday at 6 p.m. live on 3FM 92.7 as we serve you the best sports buffet and most satisfying in the sports world. The 3 Sports team will come together to review, preview, and analyze the latest in the sports world here on Sports Ultras.
Here to win? Aha! We will be busting your brains. You know how we do now. April showers brings diligence is the
mother of something. Mother of
yes. All roads lead to you see. Why did he spell holy with H-O-L-I?
Come and see.
You don't cast.
Here to Win shows Saturdays at 8 p.m. on TV3. Brought to you by Kill It Insecticide Spray.
Gino Tomato Mix.
Coming up this week on Kitchen Wars Season 2 is Group F, comprising of
Ajis, factor non-verbal, actions, not words.
Relamas, phobia,
or that year for life, or that year. If you don't know what Amwamo is,
you are not a Ghanaian.
Grind to the left, don't grind to the right. And yes, Mokono and mix it.
Don't miss all the action this Sunday, 5 p.m. right here on TV3 with me, Cookie T.
Kitchen Wars Season 2, Sundays at 5 p.m. on TV3. Don't miss it.
Sponsored by Gino Tomato Mix.
And Napa Foods. Say Napa. Enye Ono Soko.
PGL.
Let's continue with the rest of our stories. And on Thursday, the Financial Division of the Accra High Court ordered the OSP to return the seized property of Cecilia Abena Dapaah within 7 days. The court noted that there was no justifiable basis for the seizure of the property as the OSP entered the act wrongly. Panelists on TV3's Key Points have been sharing their views on the ruling.
I think the rightful thing the OSP ought to have done would have been to apply to the court for extension of time to file it, albeit that you are out of time. Okay. It doesn't close your
that
access
window
to the court. And the court has inherent jurisdiction to grant that
extension of time. Okay. Thank you for the intervention. In order not to distort your thoughts.
So you see how lawyers will be disagreeing, so we just leave it and go. That's right? So when they take, you see, when they take it, there is the Form 4B, where the OSP currency seizure notice, right? When the OSP takes your currency and you can't explain, look, let me read it. You forfeit. So let's say it says to so and so. Take notice that the undermentioned amount of currency is liable to forfeiture, and you should, within 1 calendar month from the date of this notice, give notice in writing to the office. In default of such notice, the currency shall be deemed to have been lawfully forfeited to the state. If you give notice of claim or intended claim within the time stipulated above, legal proceedings for the forfeiture of the currency will commence.
This is the OSP Act?
Yes. Yes. Okay? Right. So there are so many tools available to the OSP that they can use, and so Madam Dapaah will not get this money. So the judge should have been cognizant of that. Courts don't like making orders that cannot be enforced. Then you see that, like we say in Tree. Now, when the court need form, the court will now be used, you know, you lose the dignity. So the courts guard that dignity jealously. So do you know that theoretically, OSP can call Madam Dapaah We don't like it, but it happens. I say, Madam, here is your money, take. Simple. Madam Dapa will take the money, start jubilating. She walks out of the door. When she gets to the main door, a gate, then they will stop her. Madam, we've rearrested you. I mean, come on. So Justice Chum shouldn't have. He should have watched all those things. Because then you see that you'll be pitching Kissie Ejabin against the courts. No. Okay. 1001. As for timelines, look.
Earlier view that it appears Kissie Ejabin is rushing too much. And growing up, we had an expression, so Russia will be tea. We all do not like, we are not happy with those huge sums of money hidden under the bed of a minister in an era of economic miserization. We don't like it. Now, it appears that your wealth is, I mean, somebody was sarcastically or jokingly telling me, he saw me and said, how much do you have in your house? Mm-hmm. And I said, why? Yes. I said, now your wealth is determined by how much you have at home. Yes. Because how much you have at home gives an indication of what you have in the bank.
Coming up, entertainment news.
Entertainment news segment is brought to you by Awake Purified Drinking Water, GTP, still timeless, Vodafone, further together, and powered by 3 Entertainment.
Tonight on Entertainment, Ghanaian Afrobeat singer Kelvin Boy had a successful listening party for his newly released For the Culture EP. Now speaking to 3 Entertainment, the Downflood hitmaker said the 7-track body of work aims at promoting Ghana's unique sound to the world.
After a week of its release, Kelvin Boy's For the Culture EP has captured the hearts of many as he treated fans to some live band performances at the Front Back Accra. Colleague musicians including Mr. Drew, Wendy Shea, Sina Soul, Kwamina MP, Kiddy, amongst others were on grounds to support the project.
Make some noise for Kelvin Boy! Yeah, what's up?
The 7-track EP comes with songs like Don't Know, Softly featuring Techno, Vero, Roma featuring Baby Boy AV, and Getting Better featuring Kim Promise. So I'm here with the man of the moment. He just dropped a 7-track body of work. It's an EP and he calls it For the Culture. I just need to find out from you, Kelvin Boy, is there a personal story to the title of the EP that you chose?
Not really, but a bit personal because I feel like whatever we do for the culture, apart from the money and fame. So we do for the love and the culture, right. So for the culture, right. Straight.
Now 7 tracks, you had quite a number of features in there, yeah. Like Kim Promise, London, Steph London, with a remix, you know, to your song, as well as Techno and Baby Boy AV. Was there anything special that went into the selection of these people?
Of course I have a lot of features, but these particular ones fits perfect for the culture.
What's the plan now? I mean, it's out. We have Vero, we have the video for Vero, we have the video for Downflood.
The next video is going to be Roma, the one you love, with AV, onto me and Kim Promise, and onto the next, yeah.
Great. I mean, definitely people came out for you tonight. They came to show love. When you saw the people, what was the first thing that ran through your mind?
Because when I was driving in, it was raining on the roads. I was like, oh gosh. But I got here and it choked. Yeah. Trust me. So I appreciate everyone. TV3, I appreciate you guys.
3 Entertainment caught up with Sina Soul after the event.
I mean, I've heard the EP and hearing it perform live, magic. My favorite is Roma. Right. That's my song. That's my jam. So when you performed that song, I was happy.
Yeah, that's actually a very beautiful one. You mentioned that he's going to be dropping the video soon as well. But I mean, what is that one thing that you want to tell him? You know.
I mean, I think it's an awesome tape. He did his magic on it as usual. I wish him all the best. Every good thing that comes with a project, I wish it on him.
I just wanna day on my own. People they come and
coming up shortly, we bring you the very latest in the world of sports.
Sports segment is brought to you by Bell Pack Tissues.
It's time for sports here on News 360. I am Aniela Alote. We start off at home, and it was a fun-packed day at the premises of TV3 as the Three Sports team, in collaboration with the Ghana Esports Federation, brought you the maiden edition of the Warmer Plus Esports Festival. Now, Frank Bakwadote, popularly known as Wonder Kid, made history by becoming the first ever winner of the competition.
The maiden edition of the Warmer Plus Esports Festival. His name is Wonder Kid.
Wonder Kid emerged victorious in the maiden edition of the Warmer Plus Esports Festival, which took place at TV3. The former Ghana #1 was dominant right from the onset, scoring 10 goals in his first group game, and finished the group stage on top with 3 wins out of 3 and a goal difference of 14. He sailed smoothly throughout the knockout round and in the final against Kennedy, who is the current #1 in Ghana. It was one-way traffic in the finale as Wonder Kid scored 3 unanswered goals to be crowned champion. He takes home a whopping 2,000 cedis, a gold medal and products from sponsors. In the third place match, Big Ups was victorious, beating Genie by 4 goals to 2 to win bronze. The Esports Festival, which served as a launch for the new season of the Warm Up Plus, saw fans and players turn up in their numbers. There was a field of other games also, including snooker, basketball and football. Social media influencers like Kali J, Kojo Sheldon and Mempasan President were all present to grace the occasion. The festival in the end delivered a lot of euphoria and is definitely here to stay.
We move on to Chris Hughton's 25-man squad for the Black Stars' final AFCON qualifier against the Central African Republic on September 7th. Black Stars vice-captain Thomas Partey has been left out on account of an injury. Meanwhile, Southampton forward Kamaldeen Sulemana also misses out on a place in Chris Hughton's squad for the crucial AFCON qualifier. Midiama SC striker Jonathan Soa receives his first national team call-up. The forward, who joined Midiama in the second transfer window, scored 12 goals to help them win the league. Leading to round 4 of the English Premier League, Manchester City defeated Fulham 5-1 at the Etihad Stadium, while Tottenham pulled a 5-2 away victory against Burnley at Turf Moor. But the highlights that we will be displaying is Chelsea.
Just the one shot on target so far, and that was a very lame one from Enzo Fernandez. Through the middle here goes Elanga! Nottingham Forest take the lead inside 3 minutes of the second half.
Areas come from Chelsea. Caicedo and Gallagher get themselves mixed up, but what about the touch and the pass from Taiwo Awoniyi? Absolutely fantastic through the legs of Thiago Silva. Elanga's first touch actually is not a great one because he doesn't take it in his stride and away from the Chelsea defender, but the adjustment is absolutely superb.
Kovacic releasing Haaland, and Alvarez is there. These opportunities count. Raul Jimenez, Edison reacts, and on the line is Tim Ream. Right, Phil Foden. And they drop through to Ake! Rodri again, through the gap to Alvarez. Haaland's onto that! You know the rest! The most feared striker on the planet sends a shiver down the spine of defenders again. The door was open and he came crashing through it.
Well, maybe a mistake from Ream, but a lovely first-time pass from Alvarez into.
Away from that, in a significant boost to their preparations for the upcoming 2023 Africa Para Games, the Ghana wheelchair basketball team has secured assistance from non-profit organization Sports Equity Lab. Now, Sports Equity Lab is set to provide essential support to ensure the team's success in the competition.
As a tangible demonstration of their commitment, Sports Equity Lab has collaborated with the Seed Foundation to procure branded kits for the team, which will serve as the official jerseys throughout the tournament. The kits will be officially presented to the team as the first step on the journey to rule Africa in parasports. The founder of Sports Equity Lab, Yechatwa Kliwusonu, shared the organization's belief in the potential of the wheelchair basketball team.
We focus on athletes who are on the margins, so not your football stars, not your boxing stars. I just learned that's a big deal here in Ghana too, but other athletes who you may not have heard of. They have just as exciting stories, sometimes more exciting stories, you just don't know about it. And so we feel that these are really diamonds in the rough.
A retired basketball player and the president of Seed Ghana, Pops Mensah Bonsu, called for increased support for lesser-funded sporting disciplines within the country.
You know, we really have to continue to raise awareness to these emerging sports and, you know, give them the opportunity to level the playing field. I think at Seed Academy Ghana, what we do is providing the access and opportunity to athletes that they didn't once have. And I think on the wheelchair side, we have to, you know, provide the same and do the same thing on that side.
Raphael Botsio Nkegbe is captain of the Black Chariot.
These guys want to just make a history, and they are part of the history that their name be written, that the first African Para Game hosted by Ghana, their name is going to be part of it. And this has added up as a motivation.
The inaugural Africa Para Games will take place over the next 2 weeks. It is their hope that both the male and female wheelchair basketball teams will bring home medals for the country.
That will be all for sports here on News 360. I am Aniela Alute. Up next is international news.
Demonstrations have taken place outside a French military base in Niger's capital, Niamey, as pressure mounts on the French ambassador and soldiers to leave the country. Niger's military government, which seized power on July 26, has accused French President Emmanuel Macron of using divisive rhetoric in his comments about the coup and seeking to perpetuate France's neo-colonial relationship with its former colony. The French ambassador Sylvain Ite remained in Niger despite a 48-hour deadline to leave the country more than a week ago, a decision President Emmanuel Macron said he applauds. Gabon's junta leader General Brice Oligui Nguema said he wants to avoid rushing into elections that repeat past mistakes as pressure mounts to hand back power to a civilian government. A spokesman for Gabon's military rulers also said on state TV they decided with immediate effect to reopen the land, sea and air borders. Military officers seized power on Wednesday minutes after an announcement that Bongo had secured a third term in an election. Since 2020, there have been 3 coups, each in Mali and Burkina Faso, as well as one in Guinea, Chad and Niger. In a region where widespread poverty and insecurity have weakened elected governments, the takeovers have undone democratic gains, worrying international powers with strategic interests at stake. Moscow has put into service an advanced intercontinental ballistic missile that Russian President Vladimir Putin has said would make Russia's enemies think twice about their threats. The Samad in an underground silo-based missile that Russian officials say can carry into 15 nuclear warheads, though the United States military estimates its capacity to be 10 warheads.
Well, that's about it for News 360. For more news, you can log on to our website. It's www.3news.com. My name is Pa Kwesi Asare.
I am Portia Gabo. Have a lovely weekend.